cousin twice removed that's married to someone in Wyoming that works for FedEx. And then wants to ask me, do you know him? I'll tell him yes. My boss told me this morning to have a good, safe, productive day. I was like, pick one. I don't multitask. I always like to read the little notes that people put on the letters they want to send back. A few days ago, I had a letter from one of the insurance companies that was addressed to the safe driver at 545 Shore Road with a little note that said, not at this address. I'd hate to see that driving record. Last week, I had a little kid come up to me. He wanted me to give him the mail. So as I was getting the mail ready for him, he said, he hauled off and he punched me. Punch buggy red, no punches back. Now, I know the rules of the game. He said no punches back. I can't hit him. But here's what I want to know. If he didn't say it, what's the postal regulation on that? Is that little bastard fair game? A lot of times when I'm out delivering mail, people want to talk about the weather. You know, they're like, oh, man, wow, it's sunny out. Would you look at that? It's sunny out. Well, here's the thing. If you're standing right next to me, I'm pretty sure I have an idea what the weather's like where you're at. You don't need to give me the forecast. I've had women on my route since January asking me, when are you going to wear your shorts? When are you going to wear your shorts? And you can't blame them. And look at me. I look at myself in the mirror and I think, I'd do me. And sometimes I do. I went shopping this afternoon. I went over to the Big and Tall store. Had no idea they didn't sell condoms. I see you looking at me, honey. My eyes are up here, okay? You too, sir. Have you noticed when you go shopping, some stores will ask you zip code? I just want to pay for what I'm buying. Why are you asking my zip code? Well, thankfully, I work for the post office. So one day, I can give them the zip code for Patton, Maine, 04965. The next day, I can give them the zip code for Biddeford, Maine, 04005. But really, I've decided I need to be consistent. So they ask for my zip code. I tell them 90210. What are you laughing at? I don't look Beverly Hills to you. I had to go to the doctor recently, and I hate going to the doctor. He always wants to give me crap about my weight. He's like, Mark, don't you want to put yourself first and do something about your weight? I'm like, Doc, I do put myself first in the buffet line. I'm working on my girlish figure. Unfortunately, right now it's a pregnant girl. Due in a couple months. I had to go for an MRI recently. I don't know how many people have done that before, but I showed up for the appointment, and I got changed, and they're getting me ready to have the test, and they lay me out on the machine, and they hand me this button, and they say, I said, what's this for? They said, well, this is in case of an emergency. If there's any issues, push the button. So, okay. And they get me into the machine, and I didn't last 15 seconds. I was pushing that button like nobody's business. And so they get me out of the machine, and the lady's trying to reassure me. And she's like, it's okay. It happens. A lot of people deal with that. Don't worry about it. And I know what she was really thinking. This guy's got a problem with premature evacuation. My wife and I just took a trip up to Jackman, Maine. Anyone been up there? Jackman, Maine? All right, those of you who have been up there know there's probably more people in this room than there is in Jackman, Maine, which is good. The room we had a Murphy bed, which meant in the morning there was a little argument. I was like, honey, get up. I got to put the bed away. We took a scenic flight in one of those what do you call it? Smart cars with wings. I think they call them a Cessna. And we're getting ready to get in the plane, and there's a bigger seat in the back. So I said, honey, I'll sit in the back, you sit up front. And the pilot's like, no, sir. We need to balance the load. Which I think is the polite way of saying, hey, fat ass. I don't know if this thing's gonna get off the ground. This is not my first time being married, but I've learned some things this time around. I've learned to always compliment my wife. I tell her all the time she's the best wife I have. I've learned to not tell jokes about my mother-in-law if she's in the room. And I've learned that you need to keep the romance alive. You gotta keep the spark alive. So the other day we're down to the Hannaford, and I noticed the big display of flowers off to the side. So I went over and I grabbed the biggest, most beautiful bouquet I could find, and I brought it over to my wife and I handed it to her. Now we don't have a lot of money, so she couldn't keep it. But for that half hour that we were shopping, she felt pretty special. Hey, y'all been great. My name is Mark Riley. Thank you very much for coming. I have the pleasure of bringing the next comedian up. This guy performs around colleges and clubs all over the place. Let's please give a warm welcome to Chuck Grover.